Hello, welcome to our channel, The Fact Finders. Did you know that while you were sleeping last night, you visited distant lands, fought off giant spiders, or maybe even flew a spaceship or two? Yep, we all dream quite literally dozens of times each night, but not one of us has any idea why. Now, we do have some pretty solid theories though, and if you want to hear them, then you've come to the right place because today we're going to be diving into the science of dreams. Before we can talk about why we dream, we need to quickly talk about what a dream is. And this might seem like a bit of a silly thing to have to do, but trust me, it's important. Basically, a dream is just a series of images, sounds, emotions, and actions that take place inside your head while you're asleep. But there are actually many different kinds of dreams. For example, in a normal dream, you might go to a party, get chased by a bear through the streets of London, fall off a cliff, and wake up before you hit the ground. But you may also experience something called a nightmare, which can be very disturbing and even frightening. Then there's something called sleep paralysis, which leaves you awake but unable to move with a feeling of intense dread and sometimes even hallucinations. And finally, there are hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, which occur as you're falling asleep or waking up. These are often pleasant and can be extremely vivid, so given that dreams can range from nice to scary, scientists have had a hard time figuring out why they might be useful. Some of the more popular theories at the moment suggest that dreams help us process our emotions, keep our brains active, and even practice for future scenarios. So let's explore these ideas a little bit further, starting with the emotional processing theory. This theory suggests that dreams are basically our brain's way of working through emotionally charged situations, especially ones that are threatening. For example, you might dream about being chased through the streets of London by a bear if you've been feeling particularly stressed out lately. That way, when you're dreaming about it, you can work out how you feel about whatever it is that is stressing you out and how to best deal with it. After all, when you dream, your brain is able to simulate any situation that you can imagine, allowing you to mentally prepare for similar situations that may arise when you're awake. Research does seem to back up this idea too. One study published in the journal Emotion found that people who experienced more negative emotions during the day reported more negative emotions in their dreams. Similarly, another study found that people who had positive daily emotions reported more positive dreams. Additionally, a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who were instructed to think about a recent negative experience before bed reported more negative dreams than those who were instructed to think about a neutral experience. However, despite this evidence, there are some big problems with the idea that dreams help us process our emotions. For example, plenty of people have nightmares without ever having experienced anything particularly stressful or emotionally charged while they're awake. And on top of that, children have nightmares too, even though they don't experience anywhere near the same amount of stress that adults do. Plus, we often forget our dreams as soon as we wake up, which isn't particularly helpful if their whole purpose is to help us process our emotions. Okay, so what about the idea that dreams keep our brains active? This theory suggests that dreams basically serve to maintain brain function while we're sleeping. Now, this may sound a little bit weird, but let me explain. When you fall asleep, your brain goes through several different stages. During the first 3 stages, your brain activity slows down, your muscles relax, and your breathing becomes more shallow. However, stage 4 is much more difficult to distinguish from wakefulness since brain activity actually increases and becomes more synchronized. In fact, brain scans have shown that almost all the activity takes place in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking and decision making. And most of that activity is focused on one specific thing, rapid eye movement or REM sleep. But what exactly is REM sleep and why is it so important? Well, REM sleep gets its name from the rapid eye movements that occur under the eyelids while someone is experiencing it. It's also the stage of sleep when most dreaming occurs. And while scientists aren't totally sure why it's necessary, studies in both humans and animals have found that it's crucial for normal brain development, especially in infants and young children. What's more, animals that don't dream still go through periods of REM sleep, suggesting that it's not actually about the dreams themselves. Instead, REM sleep may play an important role in maintaining the connections between neurons in our brain. In fact, scientists have found that REM sleep deprivation causes changes in the strength of connections between neurons, leading to memory loss and attention deficits. On top of that, brain scans have found that certain areas of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex, become physically smaller after REM sleep deprivation, which could lead to problems with decision making and other important functions. So the next time you're lying in bed staring at the ceiling wondering where your dreams have taken you tonight, rest assured that your brain is probably working hard to keep everything running smoothly. Finally, let's talk about the idea that dreams help us practice for future scenarios. The logic here is that dreams allow us to simulate various scenarios in a safe environment, helping us to prepare for a range of potential situations that we might find ourselves in while we're awake. For example, if you've recently started dating someone new, you might dream about us asking them out on a date or perhaps revealing your undying love for them. That way, when it comes time to actually ask them out or confess your feelings, you'll have already gone through the motions in your sleep. In fact, there's evidence to support this idea too. Research has found that people who engage in more mental rehearsal of a future scenario tend to perform better when they're actually faced with that situation. And a study in the journal Scientific American found that people who reported more realistic dreams were better at recognizing potentially threatening situations and responding appropriately. This makes sense if you think about it. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world around us and figure out how we should interact with it. So it would definitely be useful to have a practice run before we're actually faced with something new, scary, or exciting. Plus, if you think about it, this idea kind of combines the best bits of the other two theories we've discussed. That's because practicing for future scenarios often involves thinking about our emotions and the way that we interact with others. Therefore, the practice dream scenario helps us to process our emotions and practice interacting with others in a safe environment. Of course, there are still a lot of questions that scientists would like answered. Like, why do we often forget our dreams? Why do some people never seem to have nightmares? And why do some people remember their dreams in such vivid detail? But figuring out why we dream in the first place is a great start, and we can't do that without talking about the amazing power of our brains. While we sleep, our brains go through several different stages, and each stage has a unique effect on our thoughts and behaviors. In slow wave sleep, our brain activity slows down and we enter a state of deep relaxation. As we progress through the stages, our brains begin to shut down less essential functions and focus on more vital ones. And in REM sleep, our brains become highly active as we enter a state of rapid eye movement. This is a stage when most dreaming occurs. Understanding the different stages of sleep can help us to understand why we dream and why it's important to get enough of each stage for a good night's rest. Thanks for watching this. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting facts that can blow your mind.